Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kiriath and today we're going to talk about the Death Guard Warlord, traits, relics, stratagems, psychic powers, you name it. If it's got Death Guard in it, and and it's actually publishable on the Warhammer community website, we're going to talk about it. Now this time round I have not actually looked at any of this stuff myself. I've kind of been trying not to spoil it for myself, not to tease it too much. So whatever we see, this is going to be my first time seeing it as well, so this should be fun. I'm hoping for big things, to be honest. I'm hoping for good stuff. I'm hoping they don't botch it, and I'm kind of hoping they don't make it too powerful either. What I want to see is nice, fluffy, fun stuff that properly matches the Death Guard, but doesn't seem particularly, massively overpowered or anything like that. So basically what we want them to do is do their job. The question is, have they done it? That's always the question. So let's just go straight in with some stratagems, and well, let's just go straight with some stratagems. I saw Cloud of Flies, and then I saw Nurgle's Rot down there, and I was like, ooh, okay. So, one command point, and that is Cloud of Flies, with a thrumming roar of thick cloud of demon flies, whirls around the Death Guard and obscures them from sight. Use this stratagem during your movement phase, select a Death Guard infantry unit. Until the start of your next movement phase, enemy models can only shoot this unit if it is the closest visible target. That's quite nice, that's quite good. I like that. Nice and fluffy, and you can use it to essentially make it so that one of your units is not at risk of getting shot at. If you're trying to foot slog something up the board, that would be a very good way to stop them from getting shot at. And actually, during your movement phase, maybe that could work on if you decided to deep strike the Lord of Contagion or something like that. If you've got something that's a bit closer, because he's quite a high value target, and if he gets in close, he can do some horrendous work. So, yeah, I like that. Nice and fluffy, and it has its uses. What more could you possibly want? So let's move on. 3 command points for Nurgle's Rot, so I'm assuming this is considerably good, or considerably better. Foul clouds of spores drift from the Death Guard, bearing that most perfectly hideous of plagues, Nurgle's Rot. Laying it on thick there, I like it. This stratagem can be used once per battle in the shooting phase. Select a friendly Death Guard character and roll a d6 for every unit within 7 inches of them. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds. Nurgle models cannot suffer wounds from Nurgle's Rot. In fact, they find it rather refreshing. Okay, so if you stick that on something in close combat, for instance, or something that's properly stuck into the middle of the enemy army, that's absolutely horrendous. I mean, within 7 inches and a possibility of D3 mortal wounds, and since it's a 4+, it's not a bad roll. It's not, it's not like it's on a 6 or anything. 4+, it really isn't that terrible. That's quite good. You could properly mangle a significant chunk of the enemy army if you manage to get something in close. Oh god, okay, well I like that, I'm glad it's 3 command points. I think that's probably appropriate, because mortal wounds shouldn't be just thrown around, I don't think, not in this edition. They did sort of suggest they were trying to cut down on that sort of thing, so if it was really cheap, that would be a bit crappy. Okay, Putrid Detonation. Upon their destruction, the 7 cursed hulls of Death Guard battle tanks have an alarming tendency to burst like ruptured boils, exploding in a swelling mass of pus and foulness. I hope you weren't eating whilst you're listening to this. Use this stratagem when one of your Death Guard vehicles is destroyed. Do not roll a dice, that vehicle automatically explodes. You say, I quite like that. I'll be honest, I don't know how Death Guard that is, if I'm perfectly blunt with you. That seems like a quality orc ability. I would accept that from orcs all day long, but exploding vehicles from Death Guard is not something that has traditionally been a thing, as far as I know of. Very, very situational, but I suppose it's okay. Only 1 command point. Yeah, I don't really know whether that's... I wouldn't class that as fluffy for Death Guard at all, but... yeah, I don't know. That's of the 3 so far, that is the one that I'm not entirely sure about. Doesn't seem particularly useful in most situations, and it's not something I would automatically assume with the Death Guard themselves. Well, we'll save judgment for when the Codex comes out and I've had a couple of games with a vehicle in it and see what happens. You never know, it could be really good, but not convinced on that one. Okay, let's move on to the Relics. So the Relics of Decay owned by the Death Guard have a range of fun and deadly in-game effects. This will bring place particularly deadly on a Death Guard Demon Prince. Ooh, so it gives you a 2+ save on toughness 6 and 8 wounds and disgusting resilient. Well, yes, that is going to be a nightmare to shift. Jesus Christ. So let's have a look. The suppurating plate, forged by the Rothhart Smiths. I really said Rothschild, and I don't know why. Forged by the Rothhart Smiths of Deepwell, this bloated power arm is riddled with tubes and pipes through which it pulls rancid waves of corrosive pus. Whenever an enemy's weapon so much as nicks its surface, foul fluids jet out as though they'd ripped their blade through a mass of straining buboes. This infectious slime eats away at metal and flesh alike, raising sizzling clouds of infectious steam as they eat their victim away to nothing. Jesus Christ. I mean, lay off a little bit, lads. Come on. Dear Lord. The bearer has a save characteristic of 2+. Excellent. In addition, roll a dice each time this model passes a saving throw in the fight phase. On a 4+, the unit that inflicted the wound suffers a mortal wound after all of its own attacks have been resolved. So, hang on, we've got out of 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we've looked at so far, 2 of them have mortal wounds on a 4+. I'm detecting a trend here. I thought they were trying to lessen that a little bit. Hang on a second. Let's say you managed to get a winged demon prince with the suppurating plate on it into close combat, and then you use Nurgle's Rot on said winged demon prince. That thing could be pumping out a horrendous number of mortal wounds, and since it's toughness, yeah, it'd be toughness 6, 8 wounds and a 2+ save. What? that's ridiculous. You get a mortal wound. You get a mortal wound. You have a mortal wound. Mortal wounds for everybody. Enjoy your mortal wounds. Apparently. Okay, let's. That could be a very fun for you and no one else list. The pandemic staff. This rune-engraved artifact is long and pitted, mouldering with a visible miasma of plague and entry. I love that word, miasma. Every one of its odd dents and holes harbours a deadly strain of contagion, one of Nurgle's old favourites, tried and proven. Collectively, the grotesque disease riddle of the pandemic staff has seen trillions of lives ebb away to nothing, reduced to little more than fodder for the grandfather's garden. When waved expansively, the staff can conjure forth a tide of hypertoxic fluids. That is the most underwhelming sentence I've ever read following something that detailed. The bearer of the pandemic staff adds 1 to their psychic test when attempting to manifest the smite power. If you are feeling underwhelmed by that after the build-up that it received, raise your hand. Yes. Yeah. That was just... The description was great. The actual thing it came with, I mean, it's fine. Not exactly the most exciting thing I've ever read in my life, though. Especially after we've just come off the mortal wounds train. Okay. The Dolorous Knell. Look, I'm not reading this bit now. We know what it says. We know what it says. Disease, pus, septic stuff, whatever. The Noxious Brightlinger only. Roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 7 inches of the bearer of the Dolorous Knell at the start of each morale phase. Christ. On a 6, that unit suffers a mortal wound. In addition, if an enemy unit takes a morale test whilst they're within 7 inches of the bearer, your opponent must roll 2 dice and discard the lowest result. So, like 50% of the stuff that we've seen so far involves giving people mortal wounds. I get, as I say, I'm loving it, but I'm detecting a trend here, and I'm detecting a severe backpedal on we don't want too many sort of D-weapons and mortal wounds going on. Did they even... I'm now wondering whether they even said that they wanted to reduce stuff like that. Did they even say that? Have I made that up in my head? I don't know, because it feels like if they have, they're definitely going back on it, you know what I mean? Okay, let's have a look at Warlord traits. So... Living Plague. Roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within 3 inches of your Warlord at the start of any fight phase. On a roll of 4+, that unit suffers a mortal wound. I mean, they're even... Living Plague provides even more mortal wounds. It's not just me, is it? This seems a bit crazy. That's a lot. The Death Guard are kicking out a lot of mortal wounds. Aren't they? They are, aren't they? It's not just me. I feel like Revoltingly resilient. You can add 1 to any disgustingly resilient rolls you make for your Warlord. Oh, unless the wound you're rolling for was a mortal wound. See, the problem that I had there is I looked and I saw the word mortal wound and I was like, really? 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 You're gonna... Really? That's straight off the bat, we're gonna go in for another mortal wound. But, you know, it's not. It's fine. It's fine. It just adds 1 to disgustingly resilient, so that's fine. That's fine. It's not too mental. Not too mental there. I was so prepared for it to be another mortal wound ability. And the final one, Arch Contaminator. Reroll all failed wound rolls when resolving attacks made with a plague weapon for any friendly Death Guard unit within 7 inches of your Warlord. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Right. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. I like that. So far, we have mortal wounds aplenty. Mortal wounds as far as the eye can see. So many mortal wounds that the words mortal wound are now starting to lose all meaning to me. I like most of this stuff. I think it's pretty much, well, it's pretty much perfect for Death Guard. But I still don't like the vehicle one. I still don't like the exploding vehicle one because it just seems kind of random and not really something I would associate with Death Guard at all. But you know, 1 out of all of them, not bad. Not bad. Oh, and the staff was disappointing as hell given the build-up it was given. So, let's have a look at the chapter tactics, legion traits, all of that stuff, and the psychic powers. So, first off, if you're inexorable advance, if your army is battle-forced, all infantry and Hellbrute units and Death Guard detachments gain this ability. Such units do not suffer a penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons or for advancing and firing assault weapons. That's pretty good. In addition, a unit with this ability can fire twice with rapid-fire weapons at a range of 18 inches, instead of only being able to fire twice with them up to half the weapon's maximum range. That is very nice. That is very nice. Huh, so okay, let's just do a very quick little bit of... Right now, Primaris Marines come with, well, they can come with the cool pattern bolter that allows you to fire at 30-inch range, and they can fire rapid fire at 15-inch range. This would mean that the Death Guard can actually fire rapid fire at 18-inch range, so they, when it comes to taking double shots, outrange Primaris Marines. I'm pretty damn sure, anyway. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. I do like that, and it fits. It fits the army. So yeah. Good work on that. Good work on that. Disgustingly resilient, we know all about that, so every time it loses a wound, on a 5+, it doesn't lose a wound. That's fine. We already knew about that. Not a problem. Okay, so let's go on to psychic powers. Man, that chapter tactic legion trait thingy, that's pretty good. I like that. I'm liking it. Okay, let's have a look at the old psychic powers then. Blades of Putrefaction. I can't say that word. Blades of that has a warp charge value of 5 if manifested. Select a visible friendly Death Guard unit within 18 inches until the start of your next psychic phase. Add 1 to all wound rolls made by that unit in the fight phase. Furthermore, any wound rolls of 7+ made for that unit in the fight phase with a melee weapon inflict a mortal wound on the target in addition to any other damage. Okay. Right. Well, that's more mortal wounds. Oh my god, there's so many mortal wounds. What? What on earth? Okay. Fine. Yeah, great. Any wound rolls of 7+ made for that unit? I'm assuming that we're going to see... Yeah, okay. Well, that's going to take a bit of wrapping my head around, but alright, fine. More mortal wounds, why not? Great. That's so weird. Okay. Oh god. So many. It's not just me, is it? God. Okay, Putrescent Vitality has a warp charge value of 6 if manifested. Select a visible friendly Death Guard infantry unit with 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to that unit's strength and toughness characteristics. Oh, baby. Okay, that's quite good. That's quite nice. I like that. I mean, you could end up with some fairly difficult to shift Poxwalkers if you throw that on them. Yeah. That is certainly something. You could... I wonder if that stacks. If that stacks and you could take a couple of Psykers and both cast that on Poxwalkers. I don't know. I don't know whether that would stack or not. It'd be interesting if it did, and that would be horrendous, to be honest. Can you imagine how much of a pain Poxwalkers would be to shift? I mean, they'd be a bit of a pain as it is. But buffing them up by 1 strength and 1 toughness, ooh, you could easily see them do some real damage with that, especially if you stick it on them just as they get into combat. I mean, you could stick it on them as they're getting into combat as well. It would boost their survivability to something horrendous. Yeah, you know what? I'm liking it. I am liking it. I have to admit, I'm a little bit concerned about the sheer number of mortal wounds they get, because it feels like they're getting access to quite a lot of stuff that deals mortal wounds. We'll have to see how it does in terms of actual play. I mean, to me, it's fluffy. To me, it is very fluffy. If you'd expect anyone to get that kind of thing, it would be Nurgle. But it seems a little heavy-handed. I can't really think of any of the other armies that we've had so far that have had access to quite as much in terms of mortal wound abilities as that, but I don't know, we'll have to see how it goes. Fun, definitely. Fluffy, definitely. As I say, the only thing I don't like is the vehicle, and the only really disappointing thing was that staff, but just had an amazing build up and it was just +1 to smite, which is, I mean, it's fine, but hardly thrilling. Oh god. See, now I just want to keep... I want my Primaris army building up. I want my Death Guard army building up. I want to start my Imperial Guard project. I do not have the finances for all of this. What are you doing to me, Games Workshop? Overall, liking it a lot. Liking it a lot. Question is, what do you think? Do you think it's a bit overpowered? Do you think it's fine? Do you think it's okay? Is it a bit disappointing? Were you expecting more? Are you excited to see what other units we get? Because I am. I want to see some images. I want to see some new fancy shit. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will read them as I always do. And in the meantime, there's plenty of stuff for you to click all over the screen. You can if you want. You don't have to. It's entirely up to you. It's your life. Live it how you like. I will see you for the next video. Toodaloo.